I see some familiar faces from PodFest. I see some Havening practitioners. I see some boyfriends. Amazing. Thank you, everyone, for making this part of your day. It gives me life too. So let us bring it down. All righty. We're going to just get started because I know it is a Monday. Whoop, there we are. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Hi. Let me stop the music. A little Thomas Dolby. All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome to this month's Havening Happy Hour, the first of 2025. Yay! So excited to be here. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to join me today. I know that we have some people that will come in, they'll straggle in a little late. That happens, but thank you for being on time. And for those of you who are a first here, thank you for taking an opportunity to learn something new or try something online. I know some of you met me at PodFest this last week, 2 weeks ago, and came to the live Havening experience. Some of you are Havening practitioners. Some of you have worked in Havening or are being supported by Havening, and some of you are trying this for the first time. So appreciate every angle that you're coming from. I'm going to ask a couple things real quick. It would be wonderful to have you all on camera so that I can just monitor when we are actually doing the Havening experience to make sure that we're just doing it correctly. Not that you can really do it wrong, but I just want to make sure I'm being a practitioner and trainer that actually is watching what's being done because I take it seriously and I want to make sure that we're all doing this correctly and you have the tools to do it yourself correctly. And also, I'll just tell you a little bit about who I am. Would love at this point if we could just keep microphones on mute. There's going to be plenty of time to share, and I want to give you that space to do that, ask questions. But in this moment, I'll share a little bit about who I am, and then maybe we'll go around the room as long as it's a smaller room. When it gets bigger, I don't want to keep you too long. But usually we go for just an hour, and then I stay on for a little bit for Q&A and go from there. So just to share with you who I am, if this is your first time, I am Hilary Russo. I am, holistically speaking, I'm a Havening practitioner and also a trainer. There's only about 50, a few over 50 of us in the world who are practicing certified Havening trainers. And then there's about 1,000 of us globally who are actually practitioners of the Havening technique, which I'm going to share with you today. Raise your hand if you have tried Havening before. Yes. Raise your hand if you are actually a fellow Havening practitioner. Diane, I love having you here. Um, what I'd love for you to do in this moment is just share in the chat where you're coming from, where you are sitting today, where you reside, just to show that we have people all over the world. It's one of the reasons why I try to do these Havening happy hours at different times during the day and the month, because sometimes we have folks that are across the pond and maybe it's a little later for you. So this is you winding down during the day. For some, it's earlier in the day. For me, it's midday, 3 o'clock, perfect time to do it. But I do actually share it at different times during the day every month. So I try to do something a little different every month. I think last month we did 3 o'clock as well, Eastern time, but who knows what the next one will be. So go ahead and just share who you are, maybe even how you know me and where you're coming from. And then I will share with you a little bit more about Havening in a moment. So as I mentioned, I'm Hilary Russo, holistically speaking, a Havening practitioner and trainer. I came into this work probably about 8 years ago. My background is not as a doctor, as a therapist. My background is I've been in the journalism field for over 30 years and moved into this space and in holistic health about 10 years ago because I realized that I didn't have tools to work on my own healing, and I knew that was really important. And it kind of fell in my lap, and I'm so thankful for it. It moved me into this space. I still work in health journalism. I still do a lot of public speaking. But when it comes to helping others and serving others, if I can put this healing tool in people's hands, I know I'm doing my part. So it is a blessing and a gift to be able to share this modality and to be able to train a new generation of Havening practitioners as well. So people can put this in their practice or use this in the workplace. We're doing this in medical setting. We're seeing it with first responders in the government, in military, in many different sectors, even in schools. So anywhere where we can see this tool being used effectively and just putting the power of healing in your own hands, whether you are 5 years old or 85, is truly what we want to do because it's putting the tools in your hand, not taking the power away. It's building the resiliency. And it can also be used for trauma work as well. So, is there anyone here that has never done havening before? You can raise your hand. Just tell me where you're coming in from. Just raise your hand. If you haven't heard from it, that if you haven't heard about it, that's fine. If you have, I'm going to share a little bit more about that. And then for those who might be watching this later in the recording, it gives them a chance to know a little bit about this practice. So, havening is actually a neuroscience-based approach that is using a psychosensory approach. There's a number of different ways that we can support our well-being. Obviously, there's psychopharmacology, which is using medication. There's psychotherapy, which is using traditional talk therapy. And then there's psychosensory. And that's what havening is. It's truly relying on your sense, the sense of touch, paired with positive thoughts, pleasant distractions to rewire your brain. It's used to build resiliency. It's used just for everyday upsets to when you're working with a practitioner like myself, or even Diane, who's in the room as well, which I have to give you a shout out, Diane, because you're always here and I adore you. That when you're working with someone who has the experience, you can actually work on deeper rooted trauma if you're working with a trauma informed practitioner, somebody who understands how to support you in that moment, because it's very difficult and not ever advised to be doing trauma work on your own. So having someone who could support you in that moment, havening is a beautiful tool to be able to use. But truly, it's putting the power in your hands. And I say that many times because the idea of giving you the power to build the resiliency, to give the client, the patient, whomever you're working with, is an opportunity to build connection and let them build a connection with themselves or befriend that part of the brain that loves to go fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, which is your amygdala. And the amygdala, we call her Amy in the world of havening. The amygdala is doing exactly what it's designed to do. It's designed to keep you alive and safe so that when you have an upset that comes up or a trauma that you're working through, your amygdala is instantly going to do what it needs to do and what it's designed to do, which is to keep you alive and safe. And that's kind of where the word havening came from, because havening is a safe haven. It means a safe place. It used to be called back in the day when the doctors Ron and Steve Rudin developed this technique. It was called amygdala depotentiation, but that doesn't sound as sexy. So depotentiation means to weaken, and what you're weakening is how the reaction of the amygdala is responding to that, right? But we won't get into all the nerdy neuroscience. You could certainly take my 2-day training if you're interested in learning more about the neuroscience and are interested in becoming a practitioner. We definitely go through the history, the neuroscience, and everything that's fun about neuroscience and science in general. So we call it havening because you're creating a safe place in your mind. And when you do that with the amygdala, it allows it to calm down. You are not wiring and firing as you would if you're feeling that you're unsafe. You're also releasing what we call producing more delta waves. And delta are the slowest moving brain waves you have. So when you produce more delta waves, you are finding that sense of calm, right? You're finding your safe haven. And you can do that by doing the havening touch, which is, let's just all do it together. It's like you're washing your hands, or even gently giving yourself a hug from your shoulders down to your elbows, or even gently giving yourself a touch on your face, like a massage, right? A little like massage on your face. You can do it this way too. And this is a really beautiful way to do it. It almost feels a little different, as if somebody's giving you a gentle, nurturing touch, right? Feels a little different in the body. And so you can do whatever feels comfortable to you. If touch is something that's not comfortable, period, you can actually use a blanket or maybe use a pillow or something comfortable that's feels safe and soothing to you if touching and tactical touch on your hands or your body does not feel comfortable. So I always mention, especially to those who, like little kids might use a plushie doll, or an adult might just not feel comfortable with touch. Find something that you do love and adore. Find something that brings you joy. And you can use that as a way to nurture yourself and start with that tactical item. Okay. So when you're using this touch along with a positive thought, a pleasant distraction, you are rewiring your brain. It's neuroplasticity at its finest, and it works rapidly. I mean, within, we say between 8 and 12 minutes, you can see a change in your feelings, a change in your body, a change in the chemistry, and obviously you are probably you're more likely to downregulate and produce more of those delta waves. And the reason why we use the hands and the arms and the face is because the most amount of hertz are shared and released during that process of havening when you do the face, arms, and hands, right? I think it's up to 90 times as many hertz when you're doing it in these three areas. So that's what the havening touch is. When you're thinking of a positive thought or a pleasant distraction, that could be anything like taking a walk or closing your eyes and thinking something that's positive or something that brings you joy. It can even be singing a song because that's activating the vagus nerve. But whatever brings you peace or calm or joy or a connection to something outside of the upset, that's when you're actually putting yourself, that's the havening technique because it's bringing the touch together with the positive thought, pleasant distraction. And a lot of times, you know, since this is an approach that's not as well known as something maybe like Reiki or EMDR or EFT tapping, or the things that are more mainstream these days, although havening is becoming that. People ask questions, how can touch and just thinking of something happy change my brain? And it does. It really is that simple. The simplicity of this tool, this technique, because it is a tool, is changing the way that we are doing our own healing. It's changing the way doctors and therapists, first responders, journalists, teachers, self is bringing mental health to this world in a whole new way. And the more you do it, the more it becomes kind of like a sixth sense. So that is havening. And we're going to do a little bit. But first, I would love to go around the room real quick and just introduce yourselves, like what brought you here, if that's okay. I'd love to have that opportunity to get to know my fellow happy hour folks. And if I can start with who's in the top left corner, I'm seeing Karen. I hope you're not driving. Karen, what brings you to the Havening Happy Hour this month? And welcome.
So, I was driving, so I'm home. I'm now safe. I'm waiting for my child to get out of school, and I just left my parents, where I'm taking care of my mom. So, taking care of my mom and then taking care of my son. So I just know that I met you at the IIN weekend that we had a few months ago, right? And I know how good it is to be in your company and to Haven. And I figured that if I could get this in after, you know, taking care of everyone else, then I would join. So I'm glad that I timed it right and I'm here in the car.
Love having you. Yes, that was the Heal the Healer event with Joshua Rosenthal. That was the one that I
Yes,
emceed and then also did a Havening demonstration. So, so
yes.
glad that you're here. Are you a health coach? Amazing. Great. We're certifying. I just actually certified two IAN health coaches in Havening. So people are paying attention. And I think three or four people from that event have since gone on to taking the 2-day class with me because it's just a wonderful tool to have in your own services that you offer, you know? I mean, that's what happened to me. I went into IAN and then I brought this in and now it's just part of what my niche is, right? Not that, but you can also use it for yourself, like you said, like what Joshua who founded IAN, the reason for him writing that whole book and having the Heal the Healer is that why are we not helping ourselves? We spend all this time helping other people and healing other, or not, we're not healing them, but we're giving them tools to heal themselves, to support them, to be a guide by their side, as IAN says, that we're not spending enough time taking care of me, you, right?
Right.
So this is a really wonderful way to self-regulate and self-soothe for self-care so that you can show up
Mhm.
110% for your clients, your patients, your family, your friends.
Mhm.
And I'm so glad that you're putting yourself first. Amazing. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to go to Miss Diane, one of my favorite people in the world.
Oh, bless you, thank you. Um, Much like Karen, when you care for other people, a lot of the time it's good to get together with other like-minded people and connect. And I get here whenever I can because it's just a very pleasant thing to do. So thank you,
Yes.
Hilary.
Oh, and I love having you here, and you're such a talented and compassionate, loving counselor and havening practitioner, and it's a joy just to be in your space. And thank you for trusting me. Thank you. Okay, Miss Sandy, you're right in the middle.
Mhm.
Hi,
Hi. Hi.
welcome.
Thanks for having me. I experienced or first got to meet you when you did an event for USG. It was one of the well-being, so the University System of Georgia. So I'm always looking for ways to just improve and also self-care and well-being. I also, like Karen, take care of a elderly family member, so that's a challenge and working still. But anyway, so thanks. I have a hard stop at 3:30, but I did want to join. I didn't want to miss it. So if you see me just drop off, that's where I'm going. But thank you so much, and I want to try it. So, and I looked at your website, so I'm excited.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I do find that there are a lot of people in the family caregiving that are very curious about it now. I just had a conversation with one of them actually on my podcast who was a guest, and she was a family caregiver 3 times. So I can share that with you if that's of interest to you. But even at
Sure.
Podfest this last week, it seems to be a big topic now, especially as we're moving into that sandwich generation, that it's not just taking care of your children, it's taking care of our parents, and what tools can we use to take care of ourselves? Because I can imagine it's a lot, you
It's
know.
important.
So thank you for what you're doing, and I'm sure we'll have more conversations about that. And if you have to leave, even during the havening, just do what you need to do. You know how to find me. Okay, be well. All right, Miss Gigi. Gigi, did you want to share?
I think she put it in the chat, Hillary, because she said she's at work.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes.
Mhm.
You are all the eyes and ears for me. Okay, Miss Gigi, we'll come back to you, or maybe another time when you're not at work. Perfect. Why don't we go on to D? D, would you like to share?
Hello,
So good to see you,
sparkling
D.
ones. Good to see you too. We met at Podfest, and I was so sad because I missed the havening practice there. But I'm so glad that I got to hug on you. I'm a integrative nutrition health coach also, and had not heard of havening, so I'm really excited to be here. I'm a little under the weather, which is why my camera's off. I'm still in my jammies, but I couldn't miss this. So
Oh, well, you do you. You be better. I know there were so many people got sick from Podfest.
yeah,
I don't know how I missed it. Last year I got COVID from it. So just be well. You can do this. This is actually a beautiful approach even to use when you're not feeling good, because you're self-soothing and self-nurturing. So just
thank
glad
you.
you're
I'm so
here
happy to
and we
be
can have
here.
more conversations about it. And I remember you're the only other person that gave away um, essential oils. And I'm like, that's my girl. So great. Awesome to have you. Um, Last but not least, my honey's joining us too. So, Christopher, you want to share why you're here?
Yeah, hey everybody. Hi honey. I I'm working from home today, working remotely, and I'm having a rather stressful day, actual stressful few weeks. And I had just texted Hillary and said, "Hey, I'm probably not going to make it. I got a lot of things up in the air." And at the last minute, I just made a decision that, you know what? No, my self-care is more important. And I made a conscious decision to just say park my work and take care of myself. So I'd love to say that I'm solely here to support you, um, but I'm partially here to support you. I'm also here to support myself because I know all too well the benefits of havening. I know that this is going to help me come down a little bit today after a stressful time period and eventually help me sleep well tonight. So thank you.
Love that. I much prefer that you're supporting yourself over me, but thank you for supporting me too. But it comes back to self, right? So Thank you to everybody for being here. I love when we have the small, intimate groups as much as I love the bigger ones. But why don't we just get into the havening now? And again, if you have to leave, don't worry about it. You can always go back and listen to it later because I will send it out to anyone who registers. But what I'm going to invite you to do in this moment, because this one is actually at the beginning or the end of last year, I said, what are your new intentions? What are you setting for the new year? And this is the time of year where 80% of people, the actions, the intentions, the goals that they set start creeping in like I'm not reaching them, I'm not making them. And that was the theme for this month, but it doesn't mean you have to do that. So if anything's coming up for you, whether it's lack of sleep, whether it's not meeting goals, whether you just had a bad conversation and you're just not feeling well in the body, whatever it might be, I want you to just find that one thing that is coming up for you in this moment that might not be feeling so good in the body. And when I say that, it could be as simple as I'm feeling stressed and or maybe I'm lacking sleep and I'm tired or I'm angry, whatever your emotion is. I want you to think of the emotion that's coming up for you right now and then pair it with a number. And the higher the number, the more you're feeling that emotion. So on a scale of 0 to 10, if you're feeling stressed and you're at a 6, put it in the chat, stressed 6. If you're feeling, and find and don't do anything. Try not to do anything too high, but you can. But maybe something in the middle, just if you're trying this for the first time, like something that might be a 5 to a 7 is okay. If it's lower, that's okay. If you're feeling great and you're happy and you're just here to do more havening, maybe your number is a 0 and you're joyful. But find something and put it in the chat. Right. So we're seeing stressed at a 7. What is it for you that you want to work through today and just use the simple tools of havening? Just go ahead and share it in the chat. Stress and
Can I ask
anxiety
a
at a
question?
9. And then let's just keep our microphones off just so we're not disturbing anyone else. Poor sleep 5. Okay, so tired probably. Just keep putting it in the chat and give yourself a moment just to do that. And then we're going to start doing a little havening. Anxious at a 6, poor sleep 5, stress and anxiety 9, stress 7. And if you're not comfortable putting in the chat, that's okay too. But this is just giving you an idea of where you are now and where you have the potential to be. Worry 9. So we're getting a lot of numbers mid to high. Completely understandable, totally fine. What I want you to do now, having that knowledge, is where are you feeling it in your body? You don't have to share that because the beauty about havening is it can be completely content free. Like you can come in and just say, Hilary, I just want a haven and tell me nothing. And that's okay. You don't have to share content. You can be content rich, content free, or mid content. But where are you feeling it in your body? Just be aware of it in your own self. Okay. And then we're not staying there. That's another beautiful thing about havening, which is very different from traditional therapy. We don't stay in the upset. We kind of park it over here and then take your amygdala somewhere else so it feels safe and it feels in a completely different place. Okay. So just be aware of it. And then we're going to play a little music here. And then what I would invite you to do is just give yourself permission to do the havening touch. Just a reminder of how it works if you haven't done this before, like you're washing your hands. Give yourself a hug from your shoulders down to your elbows or even gently on your face. And what I would invite you to do in this time that we're together is continue the touch. And if you're comfortable closing your eyes, that's great. If you're not, find some focal points with as I'm counting. Because with each number that I mention, find something else within that joyful experience that you're going to bring to mind that brings you peace and calm and joy. So I use the beach a lot as an example. If the beach is your joyful place, maybe number 1, when I hit number 1, is the sand under your feet. Maybe number 2 might be the clouds you see in the sky. It's activating your senses, if that makes sense. If you have a problem doing visualization, focus on things around you. Maybe look out the window and count the leaves on the tree, or maybe look at your home. And if it's a respite for you, maybe you look around and there's 20 different things that bring you joy and peace. It's just a distraction. So I want to be very clear on that. Okay. And so what I would like for you to do in this moment, as I play the music here, let's see, here we go. Just find yourself feeling very grounded. I know some of you are in the car. That's okay too. Just feel comfortable wherever you are. Know that you're safe. And if you're comfortable closing your eyes, go ahead and do that now. Just take some deep breaths and bring an awareness to your breath and allow yourself to just be in this moment. Be present. Know that you are giving yourself the gift of healing. Okay. And then I invite you to just imagine that you're standing in front of a door or a portal or some kind of window where on the other side of that is a place that brings you peace and calm and joy. Allow yourself to be witness to that, knowing that it's really within close proximity anytime you want to be there. Like a first-class ticket, you can take yourself there. Maybe it's a great vacation you took. Perhaps it's your own home, if that's your respite, or an experience that you've had or you would like to have. Or maybe it's fictitious, doesn't even have to be real. And then I invite you to just take a deep breath, and when you breathe out, step across that threshold into that experience. Give yourself permission. And I'm going to count to 20. And with each number, find something else within that experience that brings you peace and calm and joy and relaxation. And let's just start with that first powerful step 1. And then move on to 2. And if your eyes take you elsewhere, that is okay. Just allow yourself to find things that are pleasant and joyful and calming. And 3, already feeling lighter and calmer, more connected. And 4, beautiful. And on that 5th number, I invite you to bring another sense to mind. Maybe there's something you taste or smell or see or hear in that space. Give yourself permission to be kind to your mind, to hug it out with yourself, as I call it. Beautiful. And then I invite you to move on to 6 and 7 and 8, feeling lighter and calmer, more connected, and 9 and 10. Taking another deep breath and bring another sense to mind. Maybe you hear something or feel something. And 11 and 12 and 13 and 14. And on that 15th number, something else is coming to your space. What is it like to be in its presence? Is it under your feet? Is it holding your hand? Is it the sun on your skin? Is it the sounds in the air? Whatever it might be. And then move on to 16, continuing the havening touch. Remember to continue the touch. 17 to 18 and 19. And then on that 20th number, I invite you to, keeping your eyes shut, turn around in your mind's eye and just see how far you've come, how easy it is for you to change your thoughts, moods, behaviors, and habits, to be kind to your mind, to hug it out with yourself. And then I invite you in this moment to just, starting that we're in January right now, go around a full year by saying the months of the year out loud. And just go from January back around to January, how easy it is and how things can change in the course of 365 days. So just say out loud the months of the year. Beautiful. And then after saying the months of the year, I invite you just to say the alphabet out loud. You can sing the song, you can say it in a different language if you know another language, but just give yourself permission to say the alphabet out loud. Just go around a full 26 letters if you're in this part of the world. Beautiful. And then when you're done with that, just give yourself a nice havening touch again. Take a deep breath and release. And take another deep breath. Beautiful. And then we'll close this out with your eyes still shut. I invite you to just say this out loud after me. I open my mind to learning. I open my heart to friendship. I choose to feel safe, peaceful, and calm. I open my mind to learning. I open my heart to friendship. I choose to feel safe, peaceful, and calm. And all is well. All is well. All is well. And take a deep breath and release. And just do that 2 more times, taking another deep breath and release. And one more time and release. And whenever you're ready, you can bring your awareness back to the space and put your hands in your lap. And what I invite you to do in this moment, opening your eyes, if your eyes were shut, is put in the chat where you are now. What are you feeling now? What's the first emotion or feeling that's coming to mind right now without giving it too much thought, and give it a number. Remember, the lower the number, the more you're feeling that emotion. So if you're at peace and you're 0, rock on. Just go ahead and put that in the beautiful. At the beach in Puerto Rico. Okay. What's the feeling that you have with that, Gigi? What are you feeling? What number is that? I want to be at the beach in Puerto Rico. So the number would be lower if you're feeling more at peace or at rest or at calm, just so the lower the number means that you're more regulated, if that makes sense. So if you were like a 10 before and feeling anxiousness, maybe you're feeling a 2 now. Yes, like Diane mentioned, she's at a 2. And before, Diane, you were at a 6 and anxious. What's your word? Yeah, beautiful, peaceful. Went from an 8 to a 4. Lovely. Went through a 3. All these numbers came down. And by the way, just so you know, the numbers don't mean you're being graded on anything. It's just so you know where you are kind of on what we call a subjective unit of distress. It's an 11-point scale, starting with 0, meaning like what I call namaste all day. Nothing's bothering you at all. 10 is off the charts, like it's still triggering you. So to be in the middle means you're just feeling your feelings. To be at any number means you're feeling your feelings. And being aware of your feelings allows you to be able to change that, you know? So there's no right or wrong of where you are. Where you are is where you are, right? You can still keep doing this all day long if you wanted to. So you say you're at a 10 because the beach is happy. Awesome. So maybe you're really like a 0 or a 1, Gigi, because your number's lower when you're feeling more of the happiness, if that makes sense. The higher the number, the less of that you're feeling more the opposite of what they're happy is. So why it goes that way, you know, that's just how it is. So if you're at a 10 feeling a 10, but 10 is happy, you're more likely probably a 0, which is good. Amazing. So this is what havening is. It's such a simple tool that you can use it anytime, anywhere for any kind of upset that might be coming up for you, to self-regulate and self-soothe for self-care. Also, like I use this all the time with kids who are studying for tests, this is a great tool. When I am actually working with clients also who might have a presentation coming up and they're nervous to be in front of the room, it's great for public presentation. It's great just to help you sleep. I'm very open about the fact that I have sleep apnea, and I will do it sometimes just to regulate myself and put out more delta waves, because more delta, more better. And it relaxes me so that I can fall to sleep, because sometimes I have a difficulty falling asleep. But I'd love to open the microphones up to anybody that wants to share their experience and tell me how it is for you. Even if you can't come on camera right now, I'd love to know how was your experience? What are your thoughts? Mic is open for anyone who wants to share. Oop, I was
So
muted. Oh, go ahead, Chris.
sorry if I stepped on anybody. I went to one of my two favorite places, and you know where one of them is. And so, for everybody's knowledge out there, one of the places I've decided to go to when I do some havening with Hilary is a place that brought me a place and an experience that brought me significant peace when I was about 7 or 8 years old. And it was going crabbing off of a pier with my late grandfather off the York River in Virginia. And to this day, it's one of my most peaceful, cherished memories I have. And there are so many smells, sounds, and actions that um, become so vivid for me. And all of that are all bits and pieces of why I choose that to go when I go do havening, because it's just serene, in my opinion, and it always helps. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank yourself. Being able to do that and finding new places and new experiences, whether they have happened in real life or haven't happened at all, and it's part of our imagination. Being able to go there is a gift. So you're taking yourself there, you know? Awesome. Thanks for sharing, honey. Appreciate that. Does anyone else want to share? That's okay. Chris
I'll
might be the loner
share.
on this one. Oh, great. Yeah, go ahead. Wonderful. Dee, how was it
Um,
for you?
it was lovely. It was so wonderful. Um, I I realized while I was doing it that my love language, or one of them, is touch. But I live alone, so I realized once I started the touch how much I need that and how beautiful that I could give it to myself.
Isn't that a gift? Isn't that the most beautiful gift when you realize that the most important love is self-love? And so easy for us to forget that. I can hear it in your voice, and I'm so glad that you're able to nurture yourself, especially as you're trying to get well. Like a lot of times when we're not feeling good, we are like, you want to either be left alone or you want to be nurtured. But I like most of the time that little girl or little boy in us steps in, and we kind of want to be nurtured. So giving yourself the option to just self-soothe is just such a beautiful way to help with your healing, and just telling yourself things like, I am getting well, my body is resting, I am healing. Those I am statements, we call it affirmational havening. It's really a beautiful way to support yourself, doing affirmational havening, or, what if I'm well? Like we have like informational, these are all the different things that you learn in havening and the trainings, but something you can take with you anywhere, anytime, all of you, is affirmational havening, which is such a beautiful way to support yourself. So when you're feeling your feels, you can remind yourself of the powerful sentence, I am. It's what follows the I am that really matters. So I am loved, I am healing, I am nurtured, I am rested, I am taking care of my body. And all that you can do with havening can be a really beautiful way to release more of that delta wave deliciousness, as I call it. So I'm so glad that was your experience, Dee. And I hope to see you again. I hope to see you again when you're feeling better. Thank you for sharing. Would anyone else like to share? or has any questions too. This is also a time that is good to ask questions. And I see that, Gigi, I know you're at work. You said you're lucky in that sense because every morning when you go to work, your coworkers give you a hug as a good morning. Okay, where are you working?
Mhm.
I want some of that. Well, then again, I am my own boss, so I guess I'm hugging myself a lot. But that's great. I mean, we need touch. Touch is essential for human connection and our well-being. So as long as it's consent and it's happy, that's beautiful. In a warming shelter, beautiful. Love that. Love that for you. Does anyone have any questions they want to ask? This is a good time for that as well. Karen, you have a question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had an incident the past week, and then it got better. And then this morning it was like very high. The anger level was like 10 plus. I don't know, throughout the day, somehow I feel like I was better. But when you ask to put like a number on it, right? Like I know that it might get back up to 10 later, but at that moment it was like a 6 or 5. And I just didn't know like if I should, I, I didn't know. I guess this is a reoccurring thing and it will come back up and it could be a 10 in another hour or it could go down. It all depends on how I'm taking care of myself. So yeah, so I didn't know what I should put it at when I started. Like, and if I should have put myself where I was this morning at the 10 plus or where I was at this very moment.
So I would thank you for sharing that and being open about that. I would say like what I was asking you to do was what you're feeling in this moment so that you can have a true idea of what it's like to feel the feels. Obviously, if anyone that's feeling a really high number and maybe it's something more traumatic, I would never want to do that in group setting, right? That would where I'd want to be supporting Karen one-on-one so that I know that I can give you my full attention. But you coming to the space and being vulnerable and open and being aware of your feeling, whether it's a 6 right now or this morning it was feeling like a 10. That's an awareness. And to change anything is to have an awareness, right? You can't change a thing unless you're aware that change needs to happen. So, or you want it to happen rather, not needs. It's a want, right? It's a desire. So I think knowing where you are right now, and when that feeling comes up for you, you can give yourself permission because it really is permission to self-regulate. Whatever the word might be for you that you're feeling, start doing the distractions. Take yourself to wherever that place is that brings you peace and calm and joy. Do the alphabet, sing a song, blast music in your car while you're parked, doing a little havening, whatever you might want to do. And this is sending that message to the amygdala because the one thing I didn't mention before is that part of your brain that is designed to keep you alive and safe does not know time or space, right? So if you were to witness a little fender bender in front of you right now, per se, and you're like, "Oh gosh, that wasn't good. I hope they're okay." Your amygdala might think that actually happened to you because it doesn't know time or space. Or if you thought about something that happened, an hour ago, or you read something on TV or saw something on the news, which we are in a world right now where everybody's swiping and looking at stuff, and it can really dysregulate us. But you don't even realize, or sometimes people do if they're aware, that the dysregulation could be from something that's not even your own, which is what we call secondary traumatic stress, right? Or compassion fatigue, or working in the field of first responders or doctors and medicine, journalists. We see it a lot, and I spoke about this last year at the conference. That secondary trauma or traumatic stress impacts all of us because we might not be witness to it or be feeling it firsthand, but we feel the duress that others might be feeling, and our brain doesn't know if it's ours or belongs to somebody else. Does that make sense? So when that
Mhm.
feeling comes up for you, when you're feeling something, stop in that moment and just give yourself permission to take yourself elsewhere. Play some music, whatever brings you joy. Think about that vacation, that trip. Think about something that's just changes the whole trajectory of things when you're parking it over here. If it is a traumatic experience and you feel that you need more support, reach out to me. We can have a conversation and see how we can support you on a bigger level, because I definitely think, and I imagine, Diane, you would agree with this in the space. that when you're doing trauma work, it does help to have support. I don't even want to do trauma work on my own. If I was in a situation right now, I have my mentors that I go to that are Having practitioners. I can even talk to Miss Diane if I wanted to. I know I have that kind of support. Does that make sense? Does that answer your
Thank you.
question?
Yeah,
I kind of
it
went
does.
around a few things, but just wanted to let
And
that
you're
you have
so
the ability. Hmm?
yeah, sometimes when you're so heightened, right? Like
Right,
you can't even calm yourself down to do this. You're like so
right.
frustrated and that you're like, "Ugh," you know.
Yeah, you're already dysregulated. And we do this a lot with panic attacks too. But the first step is knowing it's coming on, right? No, and I used to get really bad panic attacks. So I have to like stop, and there's a really powerful thing that I use, and I use this a lot with kids too. And I have to remind myself this, and Chris will be the first to tell you that I've done this before. It's stopping and asking yourself to think, is what I'm telling myself true? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Is it necessary? And is it kind? THINK. And you can kind of like, when you ask yourself that out loud, suddenly you're like, okay, maybe what I'm saying isn't exactly the truth. Maybe I'm elevating it, you know? But you kind of can't trick your subconscious mind. You can't trick yourself, and you start feeling like, okay, maybe I'm feeling my feels, but maybe it's not as high as it was. But if it is, at least you have the awareness. Does that make sense? Kids are here.
Hmm.
Kids are here. You just get in the car.
Not yet. The
Oh, I thought
the
I saw.
friends. It's
Right.
okay.
So
Uh,
it's the awareness that matters most. I was in my feels as recently as last night, and I had to say, well, hold on. How long do I want to feel this way? Like I think I remember saying to you, Chris, I was like, I gotta stop. Like I'm done. I'm done feeling my
mm,
feels. And I was havening while I was
mm,
talking to him. And honestly, it was like, and then
mm,
having support, just having support from people, whether they're practitioners or not, just to help you in the process can be helpful too. Does that make
hmm.
sense?
It does. Thank you.
My
And I did
pleasure.
haven my today.
You would what?
I havened my mom today.
I love that. And I know that I
I
know she
learned
had to
that from
leave. Oh,
yeah.
that's so great. I'm so glad you did that. And it is a gift that I'm
Hmm.
so glad that I was able to share. I did that a
Hmm.
lot with my stepdad before he passed. He was advanced
Hmm.
Alzheimer's. And while he is more about it's more about the long-term memory, right? Rather than the short term.
Hmm.
Just telling him, like talking about his baseball days or his opera days or living in Austria, whatever we talked about. And it's not like you have to go in there and say, hey, I'm havening you now. It's just
Right.
the act of the soothing touch.
Yeah.
And it could be really
Thank you.
beautiful for both of you to share that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. Oh, I'm so glad. Wonderful. Thank you
Yes.
for sharing, Karen.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Does anyone else have questions about havening? About, I have an upcoming training this weekend. If anyone has questions about that as well, I'm happy to stay on and chat about that. And just anything. I mean, this is an open space for the next couple minutes. But if not, what I'd love to do in the moment is what I usually do with all these. I didn't do it last month actually, is just do a quick havening, hands crossed. Love doing this and just getting a quick picture. And I'll do that real quick. And I know some of you are off camera, and that's okay. I put my hand on my heart when I do it. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Amazing. And when I will be uploading this to the YouTube channel, and that's where you can find all my podcasts, holistically speaking. I'll be doing more havening videos as well, so that they're there to be able to as a resource. And of course, whenever you attend these havening happy hours, they're always there to look back on and if you have questions. So with that, I will say thank you for coming. Thank you for being part of this. And please reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm here to answer, and I'm here to support you. And be well. Hey there, Sunshine. Thanks so much for being a part of this month's Havening Happy Hour. Don't forget, this is a monthly event, and whether you are choosing to watch it live and be a part of it, or even watch it at your leisure right here, make sure that you register so that you get a copy of the video and you can watch it at a later time whenever you want. Plus, don't forget to subscribe to the Hilary Russo YouTube channel because I have plenty of other content, including episodes of the Holistically Speaking podcast and other videos that you can use to hug it out with yourself and be kind to your mind. So much love for you. Hugs.